Hello, what's up everybody, welcome to a brand new Division 2 video. My name is Duskhound and today we're going to go over the LMG tank build that I have composed. This came to be one of my favourite builds in both PvP and PvE and can easily counter the current vector meta. First off, for the weapon used, I've chose to run with an RPK, mainly due to the reload speed. However, as an alternative option you can easily go with the MG5 or an M60 if you're wanting something with higher burst damage or higher sustained damage. The reason I have chosen to go with the RPK is because it has a nice balance between damage and reload speed. The talents you want to have on your weapon for this build is Unhinged, which gives you an additional 25% weapon damage at the cost of 35% weapon handling. The weapon handling can be brutal at times, however, there is a part of the build that will counteract that, which we will go over later on in the video. I've also chosen to go with Allegro for the plus 10% rate of fire to give me some additional DPS. And for your handling talent, again, it doesn't really matter as there is very few of them that come into play. For my secondary, I've chosen to go with the Merciless. However, if you do have it, I would advise going with the Shatterbox, as the holster talent is very potent. However, brutality is also very good, as every so often you're going to be hitting for huge damage numbers. For your sidearm, it does not really matter. However, one thing that is handy to have in your sidearm slot is a weapon with overlap in the holster talent. This gives you a handling bonus when the weapon is holstered, making it very useful to counteract that minus 35% weapon handling. So that's the weapons. Let's go over the armor pieces you want to be using. I've first chosen to go with 3 pieces of Providence to give me that 10% skill power, which does not come into play, that 8% health, which helps with tankiness, and that 5% weapon damage for more raw damage, which is something this build relies upon. I also have 1 piece of Petrov defense for that LMG damage bonus, 1 piece of Murakami for an additional 8% health, and finally 1 piece of Gila Guard for that 5% total of armor. Next, let's go over the important talents for this build. First off, you're going to want Safeguard on your backpack, so that when you kill a target you get a huge bonus to your healing effects. On your chest piece, you're going to want Bloodsucker, which means that depleting an enemy's armor adds a stack of 20% bonus armor for 20 seconds, and that stacks up to 5, meaning you can have up to a 100% bonus to your armor, making you extremely tanky in both PvE and PvP. And last of the most important talents is Compensated on your gloves. This will boost your weapon damage when you have low critical hit chance, which is what we have since we are focusing on getting blue talents. Compensated does mean that you can only have 3 or less firearms talents, which is quite tricky to do. However, believe me, it is worth it, as it gives a significant buff to your raw damage. For this build, it can also be really useful to have patience on your knee pads, meaning when you go in cover for 3 seconds, your armor starts repairing by 5% every 1 second. This also gets affected by Safeguard and can come in clutch in PvP. Aside from the main talents, you want to get as much health boosting or armor boosting talents as you can, as that will help out the build even more. For your attributes, you want to focus on getting as much bonus armor as you can, as that will make Bloodsucker more and more potent. And for your 3 firearms bonuses, you want to focus on getting yourself LMG damage and then weapon damage on the other 2, which is an area of my build that I need to improve. The last thing you want to keep in mind is that you want to be running with the Demolitionist signature weapon. This gives you access to an additional 15% LMG damage bonus, and armor kits that increase your weapon handling by 100% when you use them, which is how we counteract the debuff to our weapon handling. Something else that is quite nice about that armor kits is since they do 70% and then an additional 30%, that percentages also get affected by Safeguard, meaning that you get a huge amount of burst heal out of nowhere when your handling buff runs out, which is something really unexpected in PvP. As you can see here, I am getting a total of 62% damage bonus to my LMG, 32 from the LMG damage bonus, and 30 from all weapon damage bonus. This number can be much higher as well, and can near 70% weapon damage bonus, meaning you do not have to rely on getting crits for damage, giving you a constant stream of heavy hitting bullets. Something that you may want to also keep in mind is that you are not going to be wanting to have crit chance on any of your attachments. I myself have chosen to stack as much reload speed, headshot damage and accuracy as I can, as if we have too much critical hit chance, compensated will deactivate and nerf our damage. Now that's the build out of the way. I just want to go over some little tips and tricks about using this build to counter vector builds in PvP. I will also have gameplay of me using this build in conflict in the background so you can judge for yourself. The number one tip that I will give you is that you do want to use that additional range you have using an LMG to burst down vector users. As with any build you're using that is not a vector build, in order to compete with a vector build you need to use the range advantage, as a vector build is only really powerful up close and personal. You may be able to see in the PvP in the background that I tend to not let people get too close to me, and since the LMG is extremely accurate and easy to handle, I am able to destroy people before they can damage me too much. And even if they do get to the point where they are shooting at me, the buff from Bloodsucker utilizing Safeguard and my heals, I can out heal their DPS as long as I am out of their effective optimal range. Another tip that I will give you is that you want to consistently flank enemies. I said this in my last build video and I will say it again. If you are running down main lines of sight, you are going to get killed. People are going to expect you to run down the main line of sight. However, people are not going to expect you to be coming from behind them. The maps in the Division 2 are specifically designed to have multiple paths to anywhere on the map, meaning you always have options and never take the most easiest, fastest option, as if you can get the jump on the enemy, you are always going to come out on top, especially when you have an extremely high raw damage value. My last tip I will give for this specific build is use cover a lot. With a lot of the builds out there right now, you can get away with not using cover that much in PvP. However, with this build, you can easily do fine without using cover. However, by using cover, you are giving yourself an extremely high advantage, as when patience kicks in, you are getting a consistent 5% armor heal every second, and that bumps up when you get Safeguard in play. And of course, when you get the additional armor from Bloodsucker, that is also taken into account by patience, meaning you are getting an extremely potent heal. And to make it even more powerful, you can stack a chem launcher heal and a fixer drone to give you extremely good healing over time, meaning you can easily go for 1v2 of meta builds or 1v4s if they're not using meta builds. And it is so satisfying to be consistently healed as you drop people. And the best thing about that is you're going to come out of that fight more powerful than when you went in because of Bloodsucker, meaning you are not exposed after fights, which is the main thing I love about this build. So anyway, that is all for this video today, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed. You can leave a like on this video, it helps out the channel a lot and I appreciate it. You can comment down below suggestions to improve this build or for builds that you want to see in the future, and I'll be sure to read them. And apart from that, subscribe to the channel for plenty more Division 2 and other game content, and I will see you guys in the next one.